Hello everybody, San here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, we're looking at CRISPR Therapeutics update by CEO Sam of course, CRISPR Therapeutics, talking at the healthcare innovation. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a post here from Binder, who's a member of our CRISPR community on X.com, and a couple of notes from that person. And I told myself, you know what, why not make a video on it? One, because it covers CRISPR Therapeutics. Two, it covers the update of Casgevy and other programs of that company. And three, it kind of gives you an idea of what's being said in these healthcare shows, in these healthcare innovation conferences, where, again, the audience is not necessarily a CRISPR, connoisseur type of audience, but more of a healthcare, not even genomics, just healthcare as a whole, right? And I wanted to take a look at that. So, a couple of words here, a couple of things here. So, CRISPR update at Guggenheim Healthcare Innovation Conference. So, I quote here: while there wasn't much new update today, there were some good nuggets that I really like. Sam has a very even tone when he speaks, so it is difficult to judge whether he is excited or not. My hunch is that he is very excited about the progress that he is seeing with CTX112 in oncology and autoimmune. End of quote. So Dr. Sam is sort of a monotone type of person, and but I should mention, a lot of times the folks that are monotone, you can actually get a lot from what they're saying, even though they're monotone. Just the way they talk about certain things. And I've noticed that Dr. Sam, every time he's like talking about something that really interests him or that he's very bullish, he's actually going to use certain words. I remember 3 years ago, I think it was 2 years or 3 years ago, in an interview, you could tell this person was very bullish on Casgevy. At the time, it wasn't called Casgevy. It was called, of course, CTX001, their first program at the time, and only successful program. Now, obviously, it's still the successful program in the sense of what's being FDA approved, but you can tell his tone from the way he speaks right now. Again, I don't have a video here. I'm just relying on these notes from Binder here from X.com. So just a note on that, right? I just want to put a note on that. So let's take a look at what were the update for Casgevy, and then 112, which is their oncology, which is a pretty big one, CAR T cells, cancer, basically everything and anything to do with cancer, right? So no major rollout on update on Casgevy. There's an emphasis that in US there are 25,000 patients that have sickle cell disease and that need this treatment right now. There are a lot more sickle cell disease in places like UK, France, right? So looking at here, I quote here, working on a gentler conditioning can expand the market by 3x. When they mean by market by 3x, they mean like addressing a larger set of population with Casgevy, right? That will be both beneficial for Vertex and CRISPR, sure. And of course, CRISPR only owns 40% of Casgevy because 60% is owned by Vertex. Sam said that in 8 to 10 years, once they have in vivo editing, they'll be able to edit cells in the bone marrow, and profit share that will revert back to 50-50. This was new data for me. This is actually new data for me as well. I don't fully understand that. That's pretty interesting. So it looks like Dr. Sam is predicting that in about 10 years, they'll have in vivo editing, and they'll be able to edit the cells in the bone marrow, and the profit share will go from 60 to 40 to 50-50. So they'll be gaining 10% for Casgevy. Again, that's probably a commercial agreement between those two companies. And that's maybe a great lesson here. People need to understand these partnerships are built on milestones, commercials. And there's probably agreements saying, okay, if you're able to bring this type of technology at that point, within that time frame, let's revert. This is how much you're going to be getting, either upfront or in percentage share. So obviously this is something that they're doing for Castify between Vertex and CRISPR. I think it's a win-win for both companies, but this is new to me. I did not know this. This is the first time I read about this. Again, I kind of been, I need to get back to reading these daily updates and for CRISPR Therapeutics or just companies in the CRISPR landscape. I think there's a lot of nuggets in there, just like Binder said. There are a lot of good nuggets there that I think a lot of people oversee, or they just don't really cover it, especially in legacy media. So CTX112, this is of course their oncology program. It's all about CAR T cells, all about cancers. And I quote here, Sam said they have the best in class allo CAR T in CTX112. There are two main differences between CTX110 and 112. That 110 ORR data was for the optimized dose level, while that 112 ORR data is for all dose levels of 1 to 3. There been an increased capacity of autologous CAR Ts as a result of which they are generally getting sicker patients into trials for experimental treatment in lymphoma. Combining the above 2 points, they are definitely seeing an improved drug profile with CTX112. The complete rate is pretty high. CR rate may be better than autologous. Still need to assess the durability, and of course that's the big part of the CAR T's sales and the whole oncology space with CRISPR. It's the durability, right? Everybody knows the response rate could be really good, but you need that long-term durability to really prove that you can make a dent in this space. Sam discussed the market opportunity for CTX112. He said that regulators are very aware that only about 25% of patients who are eligible for CAR T are getting it because the treatment has not expanded beyond medical centers into community settings. The ultimate goal is for allogenic medicines is to get to community settings. If the safety profile is better than auto CAR T, it allows them to meet patients in community settings. This opens an opportunity for 75% of the patients, right? And now a couple of updates here for their in vivo. That's more the cardiovascular diseases. Let's take a look at that. Looks like they need significant time for one-time treatment. Okay. Sam mentioned that the opportunity total addressable market is very large for what they're working on here, right? So even if they get 1/3 of the market, it'll be a tremendous blockbuster drug. Yeah. They discussed that safety is more important, sure. Right. Sam said they do not know the role of LPA in the early stage of development. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty early still, the whole cardiovascular in vivo. I mean, I know this is the big thing here, especially with what we've been seeing with NTLA and Telia Therapeutics, the success of in vivo. But I think CRISPR Therapeutics kind of I think every company is sort of working what they're best at. And CRISPR Therapeutics recognize what they're best at right now is ex vivo, their program that they got FDA approved. And they're kind of working on that to capitalize that for the short time being. And when I mean short time, I don't mean just a couple of months. I'm talking about a couple of years. But of course, like we saw previously, in 8 to 10 years when in vivo becomes really approved. Because you got to remember, there is no CRISPR-based therapy approved other than with ex vivo. And that is, of course, from the same company. So for them to explore further with in vivo and put more resources and to expedite that process, they're kind of letting other companies such as NTLA to take that initial upfront cost, right? People need to understand that there is an upfront cost to this, right? And people have to appreciate, the amount of money that you're putting into these programs. There was a podcast, I may do a video on it. It's an interview between Dr. Fang, of course, with Peter Attia, which is a big health guy on the podcast world, and he brought Dr. Fang on, and they went, all around, all from background history of Fang all the way to like CRISPR, different technologies. But one of the points they made, Peter Atoya asked, why is it so expensive right now? And the obvious reason is there's so much money put into these new technologies, including CRISPR, that it takes sometimes $1 billion to $2 billion to get a drug approved. By that time, you already spent $1 billion, $2 billion. Now, $1 billion to $2 billion may not seem much for these big tech companies, but for a company like CRISPR Therapeutics, $1 billion or $2 billion is literally over half of their market cap, if not more. In some cases, Caribou's not even worth 500 million, right? You take these type of scales and you try to understand how these prices are determined. And that's what I mean. I'm going on a tangent here, but there's a lot of money involved here to get an in vivo process approved by the FDA. So for CRISPR Therapeutics to make these statements, you kind of have to understand why they're putting this large time frame of 8 to 10 years, right? Because they understand there's going to be a lot more money put into this. This is going to take some time. Now, of course, with the new U.S. administration, this may expedite it. We predict in this channel it will expedite it. The market's predicted. That's why the market's been up. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, there's a little post here unrelated to this, but on the same thread here, and it looks at Vertex, CEO Vertex, Reshma, answered this question about Casgevy. Someone asked, one of the analysts, and he said there seems to be a big amount of skepticism of how big Casgevy could turn out as you go roughly from 45 ATCs to 70-ish. How do you see this evolve from visibility that you have, not just from cell collection sites? You got to remember, they need these ATCs. It's ex vivo. They're taking cells out. They're doing some work. They're putting it back in a patient body. That's a lot of work. You need facilities. You need regulated facilities. You need safe, efficient type of facilities. That's what these ATCs and some more are for. So Reshma says, and I quote, "Yes, absolutely. We said when we started this program, when we started to see data from phase 3, phase 3 was like 2 years before it got approved last year. So let's say 3 years ago, over 3 years ago, when we filed that this would be a multi-billion-dollar drug, which means it treats many, many patients. I'm more confident than ever before that is indeed the case. I feel very positive about the early launch. It is a long journey, but from everything I can see, I feel very good about where things are and how this will progress." So they're predicting about 70 ATCs by quarter of 2025, so just in a couple of months. And I quote here from this, someone's wrote under this post here on X that they said, "At this point, it will be reasonable to assume that the treatment has gained traction and patients list to be growing steadily. Two patients treated per quarter per ATC," right? That's a rough amount that what they just did. And quarter 2 Casgevy revenue, $308 million. Interesting. So these are the updates, guys. This is the updates from CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex somewhat, from Jasbinder and some more. And I think this is very bullish, guys. I'm really bullish about this. I think there's a lot of activity happening in this space. I think CRISPR is sort of having this rebound effect. Data's coming in. Data's good. All these companies are sort of, firing from all cylinders. You're seeing CRISPR being named and being tagged in some of these big podcast names, like, the All In podcast. They kept talking about CRISPR recently. I think 2 weeks ago in their podcast episode, I saw Chamath talk about CRISPR. I believe Chamath is, of course, one of the billionaires that really well known in the financial sides. So there's a lot going on here, and I'm really excited, guys. I am truly excited. I want to see what happens in this space. I want to see CRISPR play out. I want to see this story unfold, right? And it's such a beautiful story because, you sort of have this, this dark arc, like, storyline where it's very gloomy, it's dark, nobody knows what's happening. Data's good, everything's been going well, but the stock market has been hit hard. These biotech companies been down since over 3 years now. It's a bear market since then. You have had these dead count dead cat bounces, but sort of amounted to still being in a bear market. I'm very excited. I know people in this channel are excited as well. The community on X, the community on YouTube, I've been getting some good feedback, getting some good vibes, but ultimately, I think these investor companies, not just ARK Invest, but other companies, are gonna look at these big funds and gonna be looking at this and say, you know what, this is the time to jump back in CRISPR and in biotech, and you'll see this huge rally. And I think I'm telling you guys, these videos are gonna be so popular on our channel. I'm telling you guys. I know it's easy for me to say that, but I think I know when I see at a revolutionary technology. I've invested in some. We talk about Tesla, we talk about Bitcoin, and other technologies too that I invested early on that I know it has a place in our society, and I just don't see how CRISPR can't succeed. The question is, which companies in this landscape are going to be more successful than the others? I mean, that's where you have to do your research. That's where you have to build your conviction, and ultimately, you got to see the story play out, right? So CRISPR Therapeutics, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people on this channel, I think, is going to be here to stay. They will have a future here in this technology space. I think they're going to be one of these big companies. Dr. Sam has said it. He's predicted $25 billion market cap years ago. And I think he made a comment recently saying, some time ago, saying 100+ billion, I believe. I may be wrong with that statement. Anyways, don't blame me. It's just something I read once, I think. But anyways, that said, I'm going on a tangent here. I don't want to extend this video too long. Feels good to talk to you guys sometimes. It's a beautiful Saturday. Well, it's not that beautiful actually. It's quite gloomy and quite rainy. It's a Saturday, so I told myself, you know what, I'll make a video here. I do want to make a point here, and I had kind of posted this on my personal Instagram, but I saw a Cybertruck. Guys, Cybertrucks are coming in Canada. They've obviously been delivered a couple of weeks ago, and I've seen a couple of them in the streets of Toronto, and it is mind-boggling, guys. It is mind-boggling. I'm telling you guys, there's going to be a time where all this is going to be normal. These revolutionary technologies are going to be normal, and people are going to remember that there was a time where we found all of that weird, mind-boggling, and now it's just normal. I'm telling you guys, CRISPR is going to be the same thing, right? I'll end this video like this. So, as always, guys, subscribe. Please do subscribe. Our subscription growth has been growing. I want you guys to like this video. That's how we get our videos to people's homepage. And if you comment, you get more activity from people, YouTube algorithms. You guys know how it works. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Thank you.